Hey War of the Vision fans, welcome back to another episode of War of the Visions. Today is Monday, so we're going to talk about just a few minutes on the news and the rest on perhaps just how valuable some of the packs they have released this past week. So let's go ahead and get this video started. Now let's go ahead and do a little bit of house cleaning before we start this video. I want to thank Mario for pointing out that Laswell also is another unit that can benefit from the Samurai Sword from the Nier collaboration. As you can see, Laswell is a Knight of Grinshaw of Ice, and therefore he can use the Samurai Sword. And he also has Dragoon as a sub-job, which essentially have access to piercing. So therefore, he can both use slash and piercing. Again, another really good unit that could benefit from that specific weapon. If I ever said that War of the Visions has really dry weeks, meaning that there's almost nothing to do, this could be another week. And I think it kind of really makes sense because one, we're still going over the last week of Final Fantasy X, and we're still doing the second week of Nier collaboration. So what that means is you still got a lot of stuff to do in terms of farming. And I think it makes sense for them not to give us too much this week because it could potentially sway away us from perhaps doing what we want to be doing, which is be Final Fantasy X, of course, and Nier. So let's go and take a look. Weekly campaign, we get 2,500. This kind of goes without saying, that's what's going on. Secret books, of course, always farm those whenever you have the time or the opportunity to do so. And then, of course, the 3 returning items going to be Healing Maze, Ross, and Sasuke's Katana. Really? These 3 are probably not going to be really needed for any of your units that you're probably trying to build immediately. But I think if you have the time, definitely go for any of those if you really need specific weapons for those specific classes. The big one is going to be, of course, Mr. Seymour is getting a EX treatment. I'm not sure if I should be excited or not, but nevertheless, he can use a Samurai Sword, so maybe it kind of go alongside the fact that you can farm for a Samurai Sword. As you can see, we're also going to be getting Tetrasilphid, which I think is just in time to really boost up some of the extra attacks for 2B. As you can see, evocation magic, when attack up, accuracy rate up, evasion up, all really good stuff for 2B. So therefore, if you can defeat Tetrasilphid in the 3 stars, go ahead and do it. I think it's a great addition for this week, and I think, unfortunately, that's all the news. So I'm gonna go ahead and do something that I should have done last week, but nevertheless, this week, technically speaking, hasn't ended because weeks in the War of Visions begin on Wednesday and ends on Tuesday. So I'm technically speaking still within that time frame. So of course, not a whole lot of news, but I am going to call it Monday Value Packs. And so with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about the packs that's currently going on. As you can see, I am the Nier Special Shop, where you can see a bunch of packs that's being currently offered. And there's quite a few of them, as you can see here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 packs that's being offered. And I think one important thing to think about is you don't want to think too much about the percentages off because that's just the way they're advertising, right? For example, if a normal pack costs $100 and your budget is obviously not $100, even if it's 50% off, it's probably still not really something you're thinking about. But we're going to go ahead and talk about packs in terms of a few things. One, if you're a heavy spender, you don't really have to think too much about it. You're going to be spending a lot of money anyways. And I think anytime you see, smaller numbers in terms for packs that in your mind, it's already a great value, then obviously it goes without saying, buy them. And for those players who are light spenders, I think it's more important to think about, still your budget and what ones you want to go ahead and spend your money on. And then for those players who are actually not spending any money at all, but are contemplating about spending money, this is a great opportunity to perhaps buy a few packs that can definitely make a good impact on your account and perhaps also can make you feel good in terms of you're supporting the game and the fact that you're making your account stronger. So let's go ahead and talk about the first pack here. A very straightforward pack. You get 3,450 Visiors. Of those, 2,000-ish will be paid. And I think this is an important pack, but for $7, right? It actually beats value that's currently going on, right? You can spend $7 and get roughly 3,500 Visiors throughout the course of a month, but you only get not even 500 paid Visiors. So this one is actually the most important because the 2000 paid visitors will allow you to have access to quite a few good banners in the game, and perhaps sometimes in the future you may be able to purchase tickets that you can straight up use for some of your premium units, which is definitely something that you really want to think about because those units are going to be a little bit harder to build, or perhaps even vision cards such as the Bahamut card. The next pack is what I was referring to. Anytime when you see these packs that says a lot of percentages off, but still $47 is not, not a cheap number, right? By anybody's standards in terms of making money, $47 is still $47. So in your mind, you have to think, is this really worth your money? And I think ultimately speaking, if you go back to what I said in the beginning, where you have the three groups of people, and I think it makes sense, right? It might make sense for a lot of those players who are thinking that this is, in fact, great value, right? You're getting more bang for your buck, like people like to call it. But for those who are just beginning players, dropping $47 is probably not really encouraged. So I could definitely say that, if your budget restrained, so to speak, this is still something to kind of think it over before you just hit that buy button. I think the best value, in my honest opinion, if you're going to be spending a good amount of money, will probably be this one. For the same money, $47, you get 2,000 spring metals, which essentially, if you think about it, you're going to be using that most likely for your premium units or buying something that is going to be very hard to get, such as the limited time units. So in that sense, you're getting more bang for your buck because 2,000 metal in equivalency to premium metal, or premium units or premium vision cards. That's a lot, right? Because it's 100 visitors per shard of premium units and premium vision cards. And so what essentially that means is you're going to take that and multiply by 100 each. So that's going to be 20,000. So that's 20,000 visitors essentially you're getting. And on top of it, you're getting 6,000 paid visitors. This pack specifically, I think even as a medium spender myself, I will have to pass on it, even though it's very tempting, right? You instantly essentially get one of your units up to max. But I think one of the attractiveness of this game is I avoid instant gratification as much as I can because I really want to work hard for the stuff that I'm trying to do. And, I feel like I earned it. I feel like I put in a lot of work to obtain it. And for me, even though I make, reasonable amount of money for my job, $80 is still $80, right? And I think honestly for me is an easy pass. But for players out there who are thinking about instant gratification, obviously this would be essentially instant gratification. So in that sense, value might definitely vary from player to player on this one here. I think this one is probably going to be one of the best bang for your buck. For $8, you get essentially all these goodies, right? A lot of these goodies, especially this one. This is probably the big one. Overlight XL, 1,000. Restore potions, 50. So let's put in perspective. You can buy 3 large potions plus 60 paid visitors for 99 cents. So right there, if you're just thinking about this, plus the paid visitors, you're way exceeding that. On top of it, you get challenge keys, you get expedition tickets, the 5-hour one, skip tickets, king pots. I mean, this by far is the best deal of any of the packs. And I think if you're just thinking about spending money, this is definitely going to be the one, in my honest opinion, I recommend anyone should purchase. This pack definitely seems interesting at first glance because you get to select 100 shards of either of the stuff that's going on in the near collaboration. And since they're all 50 visitors per unit or per shard, it's going to be 5,000, right? You have 5,000 here essentially of free visitors, and then you have 5,000 paid. And I think this one is not so bad, but again, it boils down to what your matter of preference is, right? Where you're thinking in terms of your spendings. And I think you kind of can rate this in terms of your own priority and hierarchy. So I think this pack, I feel like is really, really worth it because you don't really think about too much about the paid visitor. It's more or less a bonus. For $8, you get 30 rainbows and 10 fragments. And put in perspective, for a free-to-play player, you only probably get, I think, a quarter of all these materials in a month from all your work that you do by playing the game. You can essentially cut that downtime to you're actually moving ahead in terms of 4 months if you drop $8. I think even if you make minimum wage or you're working part-time, $8 essentially is if you skip perhaps a meal of some sort from a fast food joint or just like a eat out session one time. I think you can progress 4 months in terms of gaining these materials in this game. I think personally it's worth it, even if I'm a free to play player today and I want to spend some money. I think this is another one of those packs that can definitely give you a lot of value for sure. These expedition tickets are essentially really good in this game because of the fact that you can get a lot of nice stuff from doing the Chocobo expedition. The only thing I want to say is free to play players, even up to this point of playing a year, would not have access to the expedition tickets because you will need Royal Rank 10, or excuse me, Royal Rank 6. And I've been a free to play player on my free to play account for a year now, and I still can't reach Royal Ranking 6. So this essentially is wasted, but technically speaking, it's not wasted until, of course, you one day reach Royal Rank 6. So in my opinion, for $5, you get 800 pay visitors and these tickets. Maybe it's not the best at this current time, but if you're thinking long term, it could actually be a good investment, especially if you're a beginning spender. This one I think definitely is not worth it, especially if you're a beginning spender, actually. Let me put it that way. Because yes, for $37 you get to pay visitors, but essentially these things are actually readily available now to us, especially the Gill Snapper. The growth eggs is a little bit rougher to get, and honestly with the new system in which you can get huge success and extra experience from your vision cards, this may be not as once powerful as before. So in my opinion, I think this is a highly pass for perhaps light spenders and of course getting ready to spenders, right? I guess that's the best word. The last pack I want to talk about is the Esper Training Pack. This one is actually pretty decent because you get 500 XLs. It does essentially cut down on a lot of time that you need to do in terms of earning these Magicites. But to be fair, there's a lot of free Magicites that's coming from the game, especially some of those 9 steps and perhaps some of those 5 steps in the future when you're summoning for vision cards. And of course, like I said, during special events, Mr. Hiroki likes to give us a lot of free stuff, and Magicites, generally speaking, is included in that. So I think this goes without saying. Heavy spinners is an easy spend, but for anyone else, this still might be a contemplated pack because of the fact that it's still $37. So in conclusion, I think the best values of all these packs are going to be anything less than $10. I think they're all really good value. I think especially if you are a beginning spender, and then for anyone else, I think, you know, medium spenders, light spenders, or even heavy spenders, all those other packs, you're going to have to sort of kind of value in your own mind in terms of your priority, in terms of how much budget you have and things like that. But I think all in all, they're all going to be pretty decent value, especially if you place more emphasis on something such as, like, say, the evolving pack, right, where you're trying to get the EX jobs done quickly. Those are definitely more valuable to those players who are really looking forward to perhaps doing more PvP content and things like that. And since I don't value those things as highly, I don't look at it that way. So that's for me. All right, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for spending your most valuable resource with me. And of course, always think about what you're spending your money on. Always think about what you're spending your resources within the game on. Ultimately, this week is going to be a very relaxing week in terms of new content, but still grind away on some of those stuff that's going on, including Nier and, of course, Final Fantasy X. So until next time, take care of yourself, all your loved ones. Nashtaters out of here. Take care.